Hey Marvel Strike Force, we got some news today. It looks like we got some new stuff to talk about. We've got some leaked footage for Xavier. We got an update to the Starjammers. Let's go get into it and take a look at everything. Um, we got Punisher's new skin that finally popped up. We saw this pop up, but not have the skin yet. It was just the ID. So I think this looks cool. This is what Punisher needed because when you look at this old skin, he just feels very rigid. It feels like a first gen character, which is what he was. So to see this new skin pop up, he looks much better in it. I'm glad to see that. Um, Much better than like some of the other skins we've seen recently, like the Diamond Thanos. Um, let's jump into this Xavier footage and kind of look at that. That is kind of pretty neat. So we had it get leaked on Instagram, and I wanted to talk about that. And I guess it's been pulled since then, so let's pop over and take a look at that. Dulom was able to get it re-recorded and put up on his YouTube channel, so we're going to react to that. I do have it muted because I guess there's some music we can't listen to, so we don't want to do that. I like when they do this kind of stuff where we get to see like little cinematic. So we'll check that out. He looks amazing. I like the Cerebro helmet. Seeing the X-Men. I guess this is kind of like his Mindscape, it looks like. Kind of like we have with the Apocalypse movie is what it reminds me of. Um, and I'm guessing they're probably introducing the Dark Xavier to the space also. Oh yeah, they are. So we got the red Xavier skin. I hope that we get to be able to unlock that red Xavier skin. That would be really cool. I love when they do like the recolors like that. Way better than like the gold and diamond skins they're doing now with the temporal cataclysm. Oh, they got like they're actually like in the danger room and things. That's cool. Now I noticed that they had Jubilee on the field and Archangel. I wonder if we're gonna see buffs to any of those characters. Those animations look cool, like the big old Mind Nova and things like that. I look forward to seeing this character. I'm still way off from him. I'm sure you guys are too. I think I'm gonna have 4 characters right now at G20, and I've got a couple more that are getting close. But when we need 20, it's gonna be a minute. So be curious to see where you're at. We'll just get rid of Dulem. We got one more thing to talk about, and that is the Starjammers. These Starjammers. And thank you, Dulom, for that. Dulom, I will link your video down in the description. But let's go talk about the Starjammer update. What did they do? Did they do the right thing? Do we think this team's going to be good now? It's tough. I don't think it's quite there yet. It's very tricky because we also have the Overpower update going in too. So I think that might be the saving grace for this team. But I think Starjammers as a whole is still stinky. Let's take a look at it. Havoc got 5% health and 8% damage. Havoc already had good stats and he has a good kit. So I'm welcome all Havoc buffs. That seems like a good character. Howard got 10% stats and 8% damage. Howard already wasn't really the damage dealer on the team. Howard was getting pulled to do his passive to block the speed bar. I just don't see that making that big of a difference. Um, he is like the secondary character to do damage on that team. He helps get people lower for Lilander's ult to pop off, which that's good. Lilander's buff is the big one. They gave her 6% health and 10% damage. This is what they're leaning into to try to fix this team, and I don't know that it's the right fix. I don't think it is personally, but we'll talk about that. Groot got 20% health and 10% damage, and Groot has like 10 million health, and Gladiator has like 14.5 million health, something like that. So I still don't think Groot is. He's probably closer to being up to par now than he was, and I just don't think he's a very. I think they're doing the rework characters dirty. Let's put it that way. Most of the rework characters, they're giving them low stats. They're not redoing their kits. They're doing the bare minimum and it feels like dead slots. It feels really bad. It feels really lazy with what they're doing, and I don't really like the way they're going about it. And Groot was no exception. Same thing with Rocket Raccoon. He got 20% out, 10% damage. Rocket Raccoon feels like he tickles people right now because they left him doing normal damage. They didn't change his percent on his stats. They just gave him a stat buff. And He wasn't playable before. It wasn't the. They didn't fix him. They didn't fix either of these characters, in my opinion. So, with that being said, is this enough to make this team good? Well, when we go look at my U32 and what went on in those matches, um, no, no, it doesn't. 10% damage and health does not fix anything. Um, if you go back to my Starjammers into any Thanos comp in Room 1, if you triggered the Thanos and didn't kill him, he AoE'd you back and killed your team. Now, the 10% health that most of these characters got and the 20% health might keep some of them alive so they don't die to the Thanos ult until you talk about overpower. So that might work there. And we'll talk about overpower here in a minute. Let's go talk about Room 3. Room 3 is the CGR room where they do 50% less damage and have a bajillion resists. I took Starjammers in there on the final day when we got the 2-diamond Lilandra unlocked. I was curious. I wanted to see if Lilandra could trigger the effect of her from her ultimate through the CGR room. I didn't even get remotely close. I got to someone to like 50% health, and then they all took turns, and my Starjammers were dead. So I don't see 10% health and damage fixing this team. They still don't do anything. So, and here's where the real problem is, and why they felt so bad in the U32. Well, one, the room rules counter them, so that plays part of it into it. But what it comes down to is this team doesn't work on defense. This team stinks on defense. They are so easy to counter. They can be countered by Howard the Duck, that's level 1, level 40. We want him to at least have his passive, whatever level that happens to be. And then you can bring in like Astral or 4 bozos that manipulate it so that they can beat them. Endgame Thanos. I mean, there's plenty of things in the game that beat this team, and very cheaply too. And even this team beats itself because of how Havoc interacts. Havoc ults first, which doesn't do anything. It puts Disrupt out there and defense down, but it doesn't stun, it doesn't slow, it doesn't do anything to help counter any of that. And a player controlling the opposite Starjammers comes in, stuns you turn 1. So they come in, stun your most important character, and then they kind of walk over you. And that's been the problem since day 1, and I've screamed and yelled that that's the issue with this team. Because now, what is going on, because this team can't play on defense, it plays on offense only. It's a 5-man team that plays offense only, and when I'm crafting defenses for Crucible, the first things that are coming through my mind of what do I have to counter? Starjammers is number 1, and Immortal X-Men's number 2. And I'm not putting defenses up that Starjammers can automatically walk over for free, because I know that that's how they play. They can't sub any characters out. If they sub characters out, their kits become junk. Like, that's what I'm thinking about. And the only time I will put up a team that I'm okay with Starjammers hitting is if I'm trying to protect another room that I don't want Starjammers to hit. And because of the Crucible rules right now, that's not what's going on. We have rooms that the Starjammers purely can't even go into, so now I have 4 rooms that I have to focus on to make Starjammers either do things very inefficiently, or they have to, or I'm okay with them completely annihilating. So that's what I'm thinking about, and it's as a defense player, you've laid your cards on the table. I already know the 2 teams you're going to try to use, and I just have to counter them. If I can counter them efficiently, then all of a sudden you can't use that team, or you try to use that team and you fall for my trap. Like, there's things that happen there, or you just feel bad. And I feel bad if you go into my team and instantly obliterate it. You feel bad if you take your team and it just loses. And the real problem is it can't play on offense and defense, and it should be. It should play on both, in some shape or form. Or they need to open up the kits to where it's 4 players, so you can plug in a character to counter my counter team. That's where they need to move with this. And so that in that sense, I don't think that Starjammers are good. I don't think in an even setting where you're playing same overpower level that this team is good. But I do think this team is very good in an overpower setting, and we're going to talk about that. This team is fast. This team has a turn 1 stun. It has a turn 2, 3 ability blocks. It has Lilandra, who degens all your buffs and AoEs you for a lot of damage. And Lilandra is required for the Xavier trial, so she is already someone that you're going to be taking up over most of your roster. So Lilandra is going to be playing in an overpower setting as soon as Monday, um, for a lot of people. And Lilandra already does pretty good damage. She doesn't always kill somebody, but when you give her 70% more damage, she does. She kills everybody. She's just going to make everybody not exist. So Lilandra's going to take her turn. She's going to hit her ultimate, and everybody's going to disappear off the map because that's what they designed that character to do. Um, and I think that's really bad for the game. I don't think that makes this team good because it's only temporary. This goes away as soon as you get on even overpower levels. It only matters when Lilandra's punching down. When Lilandra can punch down on people, then all of a sudden she just makes the rim stop existing. She takes a score of like 20, 27, something like that. No one took damage. She obliterated you on turn 3. Like, all of a sudden, then the game just gets stupid. So, is that good for the game? Does that make the team good? You let me know. But I also want to throw a caveat out there. Not every team's like this. You look at the Vigilante team, and they are not this. They are slow. They don't do anything on turn 1. On turn 2, they get a stun speed up that you can stop. And their next character to act as a tank. So the Vigilante team does not equal the Starjammers in this sense, and I think that's where we need to be looking at our characters. We need to be looking at them who can take advantage of the overpower setting, and not the team. It's a character because we don't have that many resources, and we have to be very picky about who can play in an overpowered world. I think Lilandra's one of them. I don't think Vigilante is. I think old characters could potentially come back into that because 70% damage is enough to bring them back into the meta, especially if they're fast and they control stuff. And I think people are going to get really upset really fast when they start seeing how this meta develops because you thought the speed meta was bad before. It's about to get worse. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys agree with me? Do you think I'm wrong? What would you do different? But those are some of the things I'm thinking about with Season 14 next week, and I am crafting defenses that are going to encourage the overpower setting, and I will be taking advantage of them to the best of my ability if I can. See you next time.